everyone, welcome to another episode of Conversations with me, your host, Daron Jenkins. And joining me on the podcast today, Jonathan Nicholas, who is the director of photography for Netflix's America's Sweethearts, Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders. You know, I'm going to jump right into this because how cool is that you're doing? I remember, I'm aging myself a little bit. I remember growing up, watching football and how much the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders were this thing. I mean, they were more famous than some of the players.
Yeah.
And just for you to get to be working on this, I think it's just incredibly, it had to be incredible.
I mean, I agree. I'm in my hometown right now, and growing up in Lubbock, Texas, North Texas, you are a Dallas Cowboys fan or really nothing.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, we had a couple of friends who were, Oilers fans back in the day, which we had Warren Moon.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those posters on our walls. But, I grew up through and through a Dallas Cowboy fan, knowing the Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, people having their calendars on their walls or their offices or something like that. But me and my friend used to play Michael Irving and Troy Aikman, pitch and catch back in the day. So it's kind of surreal to grew up in Texas, and being that 90s era and being at Super Bowl parties, and then going up to LA, starting a career, and then coming back to Texas and then ending up here is, it's pretty cool. It gives me a little bit extra care to the project. I really want to honor the team and the girls and, and the organization as a whole, because it's been a big part of my life, especially my childhood.
So I jumped in there a little bit, but I want to step back a little bit first and just, so you're originally from Lubbock, Texas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Where along the line did you started getting, did film kind of, or, production start becoming this thing that you thought you were going to get into?
So I have one brother, and we're 9 years apart, which is quite a bit. When I was a junior in high school, he graduated saying he wanted to become a film producer, and it kind of threw all of us back, going, "You never talk about this at all." he graduated with a PR degree or something like that, and so he immediately went to Austin, then went to LA pretty fast, and I kind of realized everything I ever wanted to do as far as a job or a career kind of revolved around the movies and the characters I fell in love with. I was a huge, movie guy, not really knowing it. And I decided, well, I don't think I want to be those characters or, live those movies. I think I just want to create those stories and those characters in those movies. So, going into film school, I went to TCU, thinking the only job in the industry was a director, right? So thought that was the only guy on set. And then as it evolved and got into actual film school, kind of realized I was more gravitating towards the cinematography, the visual side, right? So I started to focus on that, took a lot of photography classes, art history classes, studio classes. So, and then I kind of became the cinematographer at my school. And then did some projects, started a couple of film programs there with some buddies. Then we all kind of moved to LA together. And first couple of years, we're kind of this core knit people. And then we kind of started to spread out and find our own ways. But really it was, kind of through in high school, I started to realize I wanted to be in the film program. Wow. And just kind of blossomed from there.
Were there any inspirations, any people that you were looking towards, that you thought, I like this dude, I like her,
Yeah, I mean, it's, pretty basic stuff. I mean, when I was in college and really getting into film school and the film theory and all that, a lot of the Chivo movies were coming out, so kind of opening our eyes to a different way to look at cinematography with a wide lens and those long takes. And then of course, I remember being a freshman in college and watching a Nolan movie and being absolutely blown away just at the storytelling technique. And so that just fed the fire more to just deep dive and learn more. And then Deakins is always kind of like my North Star, because I just thought his lighting has always been so perfect and beautiful. And starting to read American Cinematographer, like discovering that in college as well. And like in my mind, watching a movie, trying to think if I was doing this, how would I light it? And thinking about that, and I'm like, well, I think I would have to do like this, but that seems crazy, and like we need so many big units. And then reading those articles and figuring that's how Deakins was actually doing it, is taking like really simple techniques and just putting it on a mass scale. That kind of gave me a lot of confidence that at least my head was in the right direction on how to, like, maybe light some things and tell stories. So yeah, he's definitely my North Star.
It's funny, growing up, like, there's a lot of filmmakers who will say, Lucas and Star Wars was their entry point, and I'm the same. I'm the same dude. But when I got so my father was not enamored with my wanting to be in the film industry. Not at all. He was like, well, if you want to do something like that, you've got to have something. You have to take something in school that has like a business support system to it.
I have a good story for all that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I kind of snuck in the back door. So at the time, I think it came out in '84. There was a movie by Tom Hanks called Nothing in Common. And it's basically about him as a creative director, this like successful creative director whose father falls ill, and he has to kind of, his estranged father and him kind of battle each other the whole movie, but it was about him being a creative director. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe I could use that as my entry point. So I ended up switching my majors to advertising design and creative direction. And I mean, I got a little bit exposure to the film industry, because we had to take, same as you, art history, color theory, television production, just things that I could kind of feel a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But I hadn't had outside of Star Wars, like Lucas and Star Wars, I didn't really have a person that I was looking towards, because I didn't know, like you said, I thought it all started and ended with film direction. That's all I knew. I didn't know anything about cinematography. I got into cinematography through photography, through learning, the art of photography, and then as I got older, you could watch different movies to kind of like now I find myself watching movies more critically, like I'll watch a scene and go, how'd they do that, or why'd they choose that color scheme, and why did they choose that angle, those kind of things. I wish I had done that when I was I was younger, just because there were so many good films that were coming out like in the 70s and 80s that, and even in the 60s, like the Westerns that were coming out. I just wished I had done more of that kind of analytical thinking back then. When somebody comes to you with a story, how do you go about the process of selecting what you're going to work on, and then how do you decide what your approach is going to be for each one of these projects, because it's probably different for a series versus a film, and a film versus a commercial, and
Yeah. I mean, documentary series definitely are different than, doing features. We actually have a feature film coming out. Just got the release date of July 28th for digital release. So we're excited about that. I was shooting that during season 1 of America's Sweethearts. That was a intense, crazy year of the back and forth of shooting a season 1 in Dallas, living in Austin, and then having to drive out to Marfa, deep West Texas, and doing this like triangle effect throughout the winter, and then shooting in the dead of winter. And
was this due west? Is
due west. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was juggling very different stories at once. Luckily, I was just scouting, and the season had calmed down a little bit. During the football season, it's more about just the games and what the daily lives of the girls is in that training camp. But for the series, trying to understand the world that you're going to be going into, that you can't control other than normal stuff.
Right.
So you're trying to pick the lenses of the gear that you think best suit that story. For like wrestlers, before we did this, I went with the Kawa full frame and full frame sphericals, which are like very old school and have this grit to them. These like kind of funky flares, kind of uncontrollable, kind of like the wrestler world. Like it's just got this harsh, contrasty grit to it. Let's fit that really well. And then in the color, we like really crunched the blacks and made it just gritty and saturated, and picked our times to dial that up or dial that down. For America's Sweethearts, I knew going in I wanted a little bit of a softer approach, right? The girl's already beautiful, but I wanted to enhance that just a little bit, just to kind of like amplify that world. So we went with the Milto Rucors. These are sets that both we own as well. Those kind of have this built-in halation to them, which are gorgeous, and a little bit of vignetting already in there, which is kind of like my go-to thing anyways. So they're compact, they're vintage, rehoused, beautiful, built-in built-in halation already. It's just kind of like, if I can put a lens on and not put any filters in front of it, that's always the best go-to. The less glass you can put in front of something, the better image you're going to get anyways.
Right.
And then thinking about, what's the most cinematic camera package you can get while keeping it small and robust and lean. And that's where the Burano came in for us, because wrestlers and a little bit of season 1 was on the Venice 1 and Venice 2. Amazing camera, just a little bulky, a little heavy. So when the Burano came out, that was for me, the best option, especially with the dial ND. We can record our XOC and LT, which is what we shoot on the Venice anyways. So we just max out the Burano. And that gets us up to 60 frames a second, which is what we use for our slow-mo stuff anyways. It just like ticked every box. And it just has that little more oomph than the FX9 or FX6, even though we do use kind of the whole Sony line, from the FX the 6, sometimes the 9 for when you have like a ton of cameras going. And then this year and last year, we started to introduce like the Ember camera by Freefly Systems. That's like the kind of the budget slow-mo camera, which we would take to games and get these crazy like 420 slow motion shots on the hockey anamorphics during the games, just to kind of give this dreamlike state to these girls dancing on the field.
How long did it take for you to kind of come up with this plan, for Dallas Cowboys Cheerleaders?
I think when I was shooting wrestlers, my buddy Clint, who owns Ancient Optics, he was my B cam on that. And so he actually got the preliminary set from his people in China, shipped them over to us. We actually tested them on the weekend. I asked our ACs if they wanted to come work for steak and food on the weekends, because I knew I was asking a lot to ask them to work on the weekends. But basically, we just took an afternoon. My wife, who's a co-owner of Bandit Films with us, who we own all the lenses through, she was the model. We shot this test on the Minoltas. It became like kind of the show reel for those lenses when they came out. And me and my wife looked at each other after seeing the images. We're like, we got to get these. So from the prototypes to a year and a half later, shooting Dallas Cowboy Cheerleaders, I knew those were the perfect lenses for that show. And then just, the camera package kind of evolved, but I'm kind of always thinking about, in my off time, what is the best way to build a camera package the leanest way? And then small bits kind of get added and taken away, and new bits come out. So
Right.
it evolves with 3-4 years.
What's so do you work with the same team most of the time? Like I was interviewing a producer, director last night, and we were talking about, like, she said something. Well, I've had this conversation with other producers and other directors and other creatives, and she was the first person that ever said to me that she's never been in a position where she could work with the same people all the time, like a team like this. Which I was like, wow, that's got to be hard to want to. I mean, like, that's terrible. Like,
Yeah.
like, do you mostly work with the same team for your, like, when you're doing?
Yeah. And that's me coming into the Greg Whiteley world, getting
Yep.
introduced to a lot of people, but also finding some amazing people along the way as well. So my first assistant camera, who runs the whole camera team, Cassie Coker, I found her through multiple interviews for wrestlers. So like 4 or 5
Oh.
years now. And what a godsend they are, because she is, in my mind, the best ace I've ever worked with. She can stay calm and build multiple camera packages and direct those teams out, and I feel no stress knowing when she's on the job. She's pulling my focus and also running an entire other camera department. Sometimes on our big specialty days, we have like, I don't know, 9, 10 cameras going.
Wow.
She's kind of used to that. But, just rock solid. I know the gear's going to be there, what I need. She's thinking ahead of me. She's definitely more knowledgeable now on all the little bits and bops that we need. And then from there, I've met like their friends who've become our other ACs in Texas. But the people who came with Greg is one of my good buddies now. He's our specialty camera operator, David Newton. And he's, you'll see the guy, if you see sometimes the behind the scenes, he's on a Segway with a Ronin 2. And he's kind of perfected that for like 10 years, starting off on Last Chance U with Greg. It was like a mini little Segway thing with, a little Ronin and a FX3 or whatever it was back then, to now building up, perfecting his rig. And he is, I would say, a dolly, sometimes a techno jib, all in one, just on wheels. I mean, he can go from concrete to grass to whatever, he'll hop curves on his Segway to take a shot, and he'll be up for 30, 40 minutes at a time. And there's only a couple of people in the world that can really do what he does and as smooth as he does, because he's having to be wheeling around very fast around multiple girls doing a physical exercise close to them. So he's having to operate, think about where he's going, if it's safe or not, and what they're about to do next. So his core and brain are firing extremely fast.
A lot of brain power be using. Holy smokes.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, there's only a couple of guys, people, whoever in the world that can really do what he does for as long as he can too. So, yeah.
I interviewed this filmmaker a couple of years ago, and he had done a short film that was in my film festival, and there was a scene where it was a sports, kind of like a sports themed short film, and he has this scene where, like, basketball, the guys are playing ball, and he's like moving around them like individual people. Like it looked like he was going around one dude, and he was going around another dude, and he was going. I was like, how do you do that? He was like, I'm using rollerblades. He's like, I had perfected the art of using rollerblades to shoot things, and now, and this was this must have been 7 years ago at least.
Hmm.
Now I see him on Instagram like as like the guy to do those, and I'm just like, man, the it just when you guys are doing this stuff, man, do you take a moment to look at the like your work and go, how cool is when that shot was, or how amazing this framing I'm like, do you know, like when you've gotten something, like when after you've shot something, do you go, this was special?
Yeah, yeah. I think on our specialty days or when David is doing like some really choreographed moves,
Mm-hmm.
uh, if I'm lucky enough to get behind the monitor and kind of direct him a little bit and fine tune a shot. I remember season 1 or season 2 doing some stuff on the field with the girls, and we were like, "That's too good." Like we had to invite everyone, just come look at the monitor real quick, because also that'll give them confidence. Especially
Right.
season 1, they don't really know who we are. You know, they came from the reality world, so season 1 was difficult. It's always difficult in a doc series when the people don't know you, don't trust you, and then once the season comes out and it's a hit and people are loving it,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier. But we try
Yeah.
to give them confidence too, that we're trying to make them look as cool and professional and awesome as possible. So yeah, if we have those little clips we can show them, we'll definitely do that. And
Mm.
then this past year, I'd had this dream since the show started that we would capture these girls almost like bullet time, right? So
Oh,
like
really?
if you watch the show open, it's not quite bullet time, but like 500 frames a second. If you watch the show open, there's these really warm, dramatic slow motion shots of the girls doing the jump splits and some of the routines. And that was like a big, big specialty day we shot kind of after the whole football season was over. Um, and we had a phantom and a bolt arm and kind of like had a handful of moves that we wanted to do in a short amount of time, because we also only get the girls for, sometimes 3 hours at a time. That day, the team
Oh,
leaders.
really?
Well,
Oh,
yeah, and that was like 2 days of a build, and that last half day is what we're like, been working out all the moves. Everything's planned, it's programmed. Now when the girls get there, you kind of have to fine tune it to their height and everything.
right.
But luckily, the team leaders came in, like this, had 6 of them, and they did a lot of moves with us to kind of warm everything up, and that's kind of what's in the show. But my dream was always to get the jump split kick, like almost frozen in time, because on the show, and Kelly talks about these picture moments, right? So whenever they're striking a pose or a certain move, if you were to take a still of that, it would almost look like the perfect dance move. So I just
Hmm.
wanted to do that, but put a little bit of motion into it.
Yeah. Is there is there a technology, or because it's not you are obviously very familiar with, you know, cinematography, on levels that some people aren't. I've talked to some fledgling DPs that, and they do some good work, but they're not as they don't have that breadth of tech technical know-how that to kind of do certain things that you're obviously doing.
Mhm.
Is there any technology that you have that like that you haven't worked with yet, that you, or a camera that you haven't worked with yet, that you like, on my next project I want to work? No
I mean,
budget, like no limit. Okay.
no limit. Yeah. The 265 is pretty interesting. I mean, I love going
Mm,
larger format, because our shows. And really, I think every show is about the faces, about the characters, but
yeah.
um, it's that chip is pretty awesome. I'm a very Sony diehard fan. Um,
Me too, actually.
Especially for documentary work. When I did our feature, I went to the Area S35 because it's the news camera. We got some fun anamorphics. I just wanted to and we had found a camera house that gave us a fantastic package. So I wanted to try the
Mm,
newest best, and it was great and it was beautiful. It was fine. I still think I wish I had stuck to my guns and stuck with Sony, because I just know that chip better. I know what I can push it to.
yeah.
Uh, so especially a lot of night work, like the Sony just murders the low end of the spectrum as far as, the high base ISO being so
Yeah.
clean. But I mean, as far as technology I haven't worked with yet, I'd take some pretty good boxes in the season 3 with like the Phantom. Never had to play with it before,
Oh,
and
yeah.
the bolt arm. So was I nervous going into it? Yeah, because you're asking production to spend a lot of money, and you're hoping it pulls off. You hope that your experience, and the ideas you have in your head are going to work, and
Yeah.
luckily it did. I wish we could have had like a full day to like really play around and get to know. But I also did learn some lessons from that day too, so I can take that experience to another project or to another season. And I think for me, yeah, I would like to play with. I mean, whatever camera is going to push the boundaries of low base ISOs, high frame rates.
Yeah.
I wish Sony could come out with a camera that combined all that together. Getting to shoot like insane high frame rates. I think it's just so fun, especially when you're in sports documentaries.
Yeah.
And then the larger the chip, the better. But staying in the parameters, like we've started to kind of shoot some season 4, and this year I wanted to shoot all the interviews in the 8.6K on the Brano, just maximizing the full chip for interviews, not for verite work.
Right.
Just because I'm trying to get that most depth of field on those interviews when you're doing those portrait shots. I just think it looks gorgeous. So kind of experiment with that. Trying to find ways to push, your next season to make it look bigger and better, because that's kind of what it has to be. You don't want to just rest on your laurels. And creatively, you'll get bored too. You don't want to get bored. If you're getting bored at work, that's not good for the project or, story.
Well, TV, regardless of where it's living, is always it's always kind of like, what have you done for me lately?
Mm-hmm.
You can't, like, you can't ever feel comfortable in the sense of you always have to kind of look towards improving, I think, each season, or
Especially.
adding something else.
Mm-hmm. And not trying to like overstep either. Like you still want to keep through the show, and the stories and the characters should hopefully be doing that for you. But you want to give some people a new look, a new something. So
what was can you share some of the biggest challenges that you faced as a DP and how you overcame them?
Well, going back to like that same crew element, very lucky that we do have a lot of the same crew, a lot of camera operators, a lot of ACs, producers, directors. We are quite a family. Even the PAs, we have some of the PAs were the same all 3 seasons so far.
Oh, wow.
So I think, and we shoot year round. I mean, last year we had 85 shooting days, for what we're categorized as a reality show. I hate that because I feel like we're a doc series. But
yeah, I was going to say, it's not really a reality show, to be honest.
I hate when people call us a reality show. I'm like, but regardless, we get a lot of days. Like, we're very fortunate, but that's, Greg's go-to is always fight for the most days and always fight for the most beautiful camera package and audio package, right? So if you're in a situation where you don't have your normal people and we're so fine-tuned, we can work so fast, yeah, it can feel like a pretty big speed bump when you don't have your normal people on, whether it be C's or camera operators or, sometimes a new producer who just doesn't know quite how we work, because we're very in sync together.
Right.
And then, yeah, I mean, it just goes for a long time. Like, I'm away from home quite a bit. The other day, I was with my daughter and we're talking about Dallas and things there, and she looks at me and she goes, well, I mean, yeah, you mean you basically live in Dallas? And I go, what? No, but I can see where you get that. Even though I'm 3 hours down the road, but yeah, being away a lot and trying to stay focused, because sometimes during training camp, it's just the same thing over and over again. Yeah. So staying honed on the story and really listening to what the girls are saying or what the coaches are saying, and just trying to focus on that story as much as possible, and not getting bored or distracted. And then just having regular, meetings with the producers, like, all right, where are these characters at? Where do we think they're going? What are their challenges? Uh, just all staying on the same page and not just like clocking into a reality show, because we really do. Even like the ACs, like even at lunchtime, we're talking about the stories that were going on. The PAs will chime in, like we talk about what we just shot and what we might be shooting next week, and like how these characters are evolving, and so everyone is really invested, which is pretty awesome.
That's that's what you strive for on production, because like like if it's such a team effort, it is it's funny, it's very much like playing football in because if one person doesn't carry their load or is unhappy or not focused, it shows up on camera. It can show up on the camera for sure. Is there a particular genre or subject matter that you haven't explored yet and would love to try to do it in the future?
I mean, I used to do a lot of like discovery and travel and science channel stuff all over the world. I love traveling the world and like experiencing those places and then getting to do my job at the same time. I would love to have this team, this level of production, do something international. What that is, don't quite know yet. I think that'd be awesome to like. I think we would. I mean, I think whatever we do, we would knock it out of the park. Like we feel confident in ourselves with this team, that we would do a great job on anything. But something international would be fun. And then as far as talking like narrative movies go, because I do try and do narrative stuff. For me to flex both those muscles helps me keep my lighting brain in check as far as storytelling.
Yep.
I was a big fan of just like spy genre stuff. So anything spy related or espionage or I think again,
007.
I know that goes back to the international aspect of it all. So I think that world's really cool. If there's a way to combine those, do a documentary on something like that, that'd be awesome.
Or maybe the Olympics.
The Olympics would be cool. I can't talk about something that I was in development on, but I was getting very excited for the possibility of a Red Bull athlete. But this show keeps us so busy. I find pockets of time where I can tell, some of my producers that have other things going on that I can jump on other things. But yeah, it gets hard with this show sometimes. So I do what I can.
How many episodes do they like? Is it per season?
7. Yeah.
Okay.
So we've kind of found this spot in the last couple of years where the first 5 episodes are kind of like training camp and intro to all that, and then the last 2 episodes are kind of what goes on in the season.
Right.
And just depending on what happens within that year, that can fluctuate. Yeah.
Interesting. I asked this question to people because I think for those like people like yourself who are like quite like veteran within the field, and I think a lot of people who listen to this podcast are like new filmmakers or new DPs, new editors. How do you handle criticism and feedback? And how has it influenced your growth?
Are you talking about from my peers or from like the public?
No, from your peer public. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even think I don't think anyone knows who I am. So nothing from the public. But as far as my peers, I actually crave it because it's feedback of any kind. So whether it's being told like you're doing a good job, or like maybe we should have varied in this direction instead of that direction, and getting an explanation as to why.
Right.
All for it. I'll take anything and everything I can get.
That's great.
Yeah. I guess there's not that there's a lack, but just sometimes people, don't quite remember to give that feedback, or sometimes maybe
Right.
needs to. So I'll try and pull it out. Like, I don't care if it's good or bad. Just tell me what are we liking, what are we not liking.
Mm.
That just gives me brain candy to go in a different direction if I need to. And
Yeah.
I'm a problem solver. I'll solve the problem.
That's the way people should be. I mean, I think you can't take it personally. It's business. Um, but you should also look at it as an opportunity for growth
Hmm.
and improvement. And, you know, you don't know everything. Sometimes maybe you're so focused on what you're doing that somebody standing outside of that can go, "Hey, did you notice this or did you see that?" Yeah, "Oh, you know what? Thank you for letting me know that. Didn't
Yeah.
even didn't even catch my eye." You
Yeah.
know.
Especially doing multiple seasons of something, you definitely need an outside
Oh
perspective,
yeah.
you
Oh
know,
yeah.
because you can get a little tunnel vision sometimes. So yeah, trying to be aware of that, just step back is very important.
Do you get a chance to work in the virtual like virtual studios at all? Like is
We explored that. There's a massive volume screen in like northern Fort Worth. We
hmm,
were doing this Bolt and Specialty Day, thinking like, well, do we take the time to like really light an entire football field, because that can be expensive, or do we try and go to this volume screen and then we're going to
right.
bring in all this AstroTurf? Um, I and well, for one, the frame rate we wanted, I don't think that screen can handle up to more than 140 frames a second or something, and then it just starts to get some crazy flicker no matter what shutter
Right.
speed you're at. So we mixed it up pretty fast, but also knowing that to do it right is a very involved thing, and you want to get like 3D animators involved if you want to like move that camera and have it feel like you're in that world. It takes a lot more, um, computer work than just
Yeah.
putting a volume screen and then moving around that and having AstroTurf. So
Mm,
that kind of like nixed that out pretty quick,
mm.
and realized how intense it would be to make it look real, because it's a massive wraparound screen. It'd
Oh,
be fun.
really?
It definitely would be, but for us, a documentary team, like we would need some pretty hefty, you know, digital and 3D animator like backing to make it look cool and real.
Mm.
So I still like doing it all practically. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was a big day, a lot of lights, learned a lot of lessons.
Are
But
you doing much commercial work at all?
not as much as I'd like to. I think the last commercial big stuff, I was doing some stuff for Spectrum.
Hmm.
I was kind of taking me around the country. He was doing like these local spots that then at the end of the campaign get cut into a national spot, but very like verite handheld docu style stuff. Did some stuff a couple years ago for the beef industry, like beef. What's for dinner? Remember those from our childhood? Um, did some of those, was kind of fun. Like to do a commercial and hear that theme song in the end is pretty
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
um, so little things like that. Um, but I know I haven't really pushed my name out there as much as I'd like to,
Mm.
because this thing keeps me busy. But that's also why I like playing with those tools. Like I can put that bolt stuff on my reel now,
Yeah.
and I can put all those crazy, working with all these different cameras and going, working with Hawk, who's been awesome with us. We reserve our Hawk vintage 1.3 anamorphics. We give them our football calendar, and they hold those
Hmm.
for only 2 sets in the world, is what they told me.
Oh, really?
Well, they get sucked up pretty fast on, even if it's not, you know, LA productions, they'll go all over the world. So you kind of have to lock those in pretty far in advance, so that the Hawk 1.3 anamorphic vintage 74s.
Right.
Um, Sometimes if we can't get them, we'll get just the regular Hawk 1.3s.
Mm.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but
You know, I'm a fan of Christopher Nolan,
Mhm.
and and when this new movie I guess he has coming out,
The Odyssey.
Odyssey, yeah, where he's using basically the IMAX cameras. So I was like, wait, what? That seems like a lot, but okay.
Yeah.
But I also like, one of the reasons why I like him is because he's. I mean, I guess you got the money to do that because I'm assuming that it's pretty expensive to do, Mike. And there's a lot of work that goes into it.
A lot of research.
But I think I like his chutzpah. I like that he's got the balls to try it.
Yeah, I think he's in that spot now where the industries will come to him instead of him going to the industry. They'll build stuff for him.
Yeah.
This also goes into the marketing of the movie and stuff like that. But it's like him constantly challenging himself. Like, yeah, it's going to be hard to shoot this, and we're going to have to build special contraptions and blimps and stuff. But I think that's maybe his way of pushing himself as well.
Yeah. What aspects of filmmaking do you find the most fulfilling?
I love operating the camera and being next to the talent and working with them, whether it's documentary or even narrative too. I love working with the actors. So being a DP who operates, it's very important to me. I don't really want to ever give that up. I've had to on a feature before, and I would hop in for the really important moments. There's some one takes or something like that where the character's going through something really intense, and I like to be right there with them if I can. That's really.
I'm a big fan of that as well. I think it's I don't know. That interaction. I know how important it is to the actual production, and it's fun. Like I would like to call myself a hands-on type of person. Where I can, because you obviously can't be everywhere at all. That's where having a good team comes into play,
Oh yeah.
But
yeah, you can't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, there are times where I wish I could live behind the monitor and like fine tune and tweak every single little thing, but
yeah,
I wouldn't give up. With their specialty shots, with like David does or stuff like that, or I can't control a super techno jib or anything like that. I wouldn't try to step on and do that. That's also where I'm like leaning on people. Yeah, please, you're the specialist in this. You tell me. Here's my idea.
Right.
Can we do that? Or if we can't, what's the next best thing? And I'll work with you to figure out how to at least get a happy medium. But I love meeting new specialty people because it seems it's usually a new toy that I've never played with, and so I want to soak up all their knowledge, and when I get this thing in my head, and then they go like, well, physically that's kind of impossible. You're like, yeah, you're right. The camera can't move. Sure, just following a boot from the ground up to their head, with both being like, I think probably the strongest robotic camera arm out there. Even that's not truly fast enough to follow that entire action with that heavy camera on there with that lens. So you have to find that happy medium. Like, all right, we'll start a little bit above their boot, and then we'll find that sweet spot where it's perfectly in the frame. And then as they get close to their head, it kind of goes out. And
wow,
and then you're also asking, and you're trying to rehearse that, and then you're realizing, well, this tires these girls out. You can't just like, an athlete is an athlete. Everyone gets tired.
Yeah.
So you're trying to program it as much as you can, and then when they get there, you're just, like I was saying, doing minor adjustments, but knowing there is a threshold where like they're not going to be able to do 80 jump splits. Like, I know we did that one jump split, I think we did it 4 times. I think we did groups of girls, and then Judy was there on the day, and then she kind of combined what she felt was the best jump splitters that could work together. She scrambled those girls together, and then we did one take, and that's one scene where we're watching playback in extreme slow motion, like 500 frames a second. Wow. And the girls went ballistic, and some of them were like tearing up. And I was like,
Oh,
well, I did that. That's exactly. I've had that shot in my head for 3 years, and I got it. And not only did we get it, like the girls like were just ecstatic about it. So that made me feel really
it sounds almost like you were shooting an action movie.
well. Kind of. Um, that that bolt is something, man. Like having 40 feet of track and asking it to move as fast as it did, it's pretty crazy. And you're also like you're trying to trigger the camera and the bolt and the dolly at the same time, as well as hitting the sweet spot for them. So a lot of it is like figuring out when do we cue the girls,
Mm.
when do we cue the camera to or the robot to do its action. Um, and literally it is tenths of a second to where you're too late or too early.
Mm.
So learn a
Wow.
lot. Yeah.
Um, if y- so, like I mentioned, we have a lot of new filmmakers, new DPs that listen. If someone came to you and asked you for like a piece of like one piece of advice you would have for somebody who wants to get into you know being a director of photography, what would be something you think they like? What would be one thing they definitely want to have mastered,
Mm.
and one thing that you know would be like just a nice thing to have?
Yeah. Ooh, I get that question a lot, and there's different paths for everybody.
Yeah.
I was both an assistant camera and a gaffer, but
Oh.
always whatever job I had, every weekend I was shooting something with friends or finding directors or writers who wanted to shoot stuff as well. And I had a camera and I had a little bit of lighting, but also working at a G&E house, I could like
Mm.
stuff out on the weekends. So I'd say no matter what job you have, whether you're at Subway or you're a PA on a set, find those friends who are also like hungry to make movies and films and projects, and always be working on your craft and practicing, whether it's a music video, a short film, if it's just one or two actors, just shoot, 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 learn from it all. Don't waste any time, especially, early in life.
Mm.
Because no one's going to let you DP anything unless you have before, right? So find
Yeah.
those friends you can come up together. Um, I think that's my main piece
Wow.
of advice. Always be practicing, whether it's stills or video, you know, whatever it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. It's funny. The person I was interviewing yesterday, she's uh she's a director as well, and she's she said something. I was like, she's like, she's looking to broaden out her portfolio, and she's like, work. She's like, I want to find some creators that just need somebody to help them with directing their projects. And I'm like, well, I run into them all the time. I'm telling you, I'm like, I could bend over right now and have like 30 different filmmakers or screenwriters or somebody who just needs a director to help bring the
Mm.
project to fruition. I'm like, I don't think that's a problem. I think if anyone like is trying, like, you're right. I think you should just be willing to do something, like find some projects, people who are like, there are tons of people who go to like networking events and film festivals that are just there kind of hoping to find a DP or an editor that will, help bring their project to life. Um,
Yeah,
just do it.
and don't try and go make the Odyssey, right? Be realistic about
Right.
your budgets. It's like just having an actor in a room and doing some dialogue could be, you know, something in itself. So
Yep.
that's kind of the in college we had a film school. I mean, we created a film club to make shorts and stuff on our own,
Mm.
just like be practicing more physical, filmmaking. And we tried to do like these like World War II storied Nazi gold finding in the like mobster type things. I'm like, that was dumb because it's just college kids trying to act like they're tough mobsters, right? Just go make a college like story,
Yeah.
about a relationship. Find like we go to the theater school, find the best actors, try and write stories around them. Find a good editor, find a director, find your camera person, your audio person.
Yeah.
You're gonna find those top people in your college or your community, and just go make stuff together.
Wow. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a good idea too. I hadn't even thought about that. Go to the film school, find the actors, and write something specifically for them that fits their, what maybe this is guy's a goth. Maybe you write
Yeah,
something, just based on him.
yeah,
That's a great idea. I never even thought about that one. Huh.
yeah. Because they're also young in their career too, and they're not going to be as strong in their craft either. So
True.
find something that they can immediately latch onto would help. Because a good story and a good actor makes your cinematography look better already. You know,
Hmm.
so that's one thing in my early career. Like when I was lucky enough to have friends who worked at Funny or Die, crazy small budgets, crazy small. But you had big, big movie stars coming in to do stuff.
Yeah.
Just have them on your reel, having their face, behind your lenses or in front of your lenses. It's pretty awesome. Makes you stand
Yeah.
out.
Get them cheap while you can.
Yeah.
So, there's one question I ask everybody before we wrap up,
Yeah.
which is, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received and from whom?
Ooh, I think it's probably conglomerate. Early on in my career as PA and an AC, but be indisposable, right?
Hmm.
If you're not around on that set, your boss's job gets harder because they became so dependent on you doing such a good job and being so consistent and on time and good at your job. When you're not there, their life is harder, right? So they'll always want to
Yeah.
hire you,
Yeah.
right? That means having a good attitude, being on time, being good at your job, just being a good person in general, and being
God,
willing to listen and learn and to you know,
I feel like so many people have said the exact same thing.
mm-hmm,
Eh, Shouldn't that be the common sense? To me, that's common sense. Like what be friendly, be courteous, be on time, be professional. All these things to me are just like, because I always look at it like this. I'm lucky to be on the set. I don't care, regardless of whether I'm the best person, best talent, or worst talent. If I'm on that set, then I'm very fortunate to have been chosen to be on that set. And I want to do it again and
mm-hmm,
again and again. And the only way to do it again and again and again is if people have like this thing where they can't see them not working without you. You know, you have to make it. I tell people, make it easy for people to say yes to you.
yeah, yeah, that's great. And there's something I learned recently listening to a podcast, about how SEAL Team 6 picks their team members, right? Like the most elite of the
Oh,
elite. And there's a graph they'll draw, right? On this axis, it's performance. On this axis, it's loyalty and trust.
hmm.
And they tend to pick the guys who have more loyalty and trust rather than the higher performing type. Because if you're all high performance and no loyalty, that can become a toxic team member, right? Like very selfish, all about themselves and not caring about bringing their team along with them. Because filmmaking is a very, very big team effort.
Yep.
So finding those people who are great performers, but also, loyalty and trustworthy is really important because that they'll have your back and they'll be there for you. And then hiring those same people, they'll do the flip flop for the other person, right? So
Yeah.
just finding
Yeah.
that balance.
I'm going to use that from now on. I mean,
Mhm.
it's yeah. When you're a film, like especially if you're like new to the industry and like if you want to build out your team, these are the people that you want on your team. You want to
these people down here, they can become better performers the
Right.
more chance they get, right? As long as they're on that great path and you trust them, give them opportunities, they'll become better performers.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, being loyal, uh, you can only become so loyal, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but you can
Naturally.
become much more productive.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. What's next for you? What are you working on anything that I know Due West is coming out?
Do us coming out. Hopefully, that goes well and we have some investors that maybe let us do our next project. Um, Unofficially kind of, working on another season of DCC. We kind of have to start before we're actually greenlit. Um,
Oh,
and it's not really, it's kind of, it's not really a secret because people see us with our cameras all the time, but we're just not officially greenlit yet. That's kind of just how Netflix and stuff has to work. So hopefully we get another season.
hmm.
Um, and man, that's kind of it right now. Hopefully,
Hmm.
there's other things always in the ether and possibilities, but I never see they're actually going until the camera's in my hand. I'm pressing the record
Yeah,
button.
I'm same way.
Mm-hmm.
And people can follow you on Instagram, I take it.
Yes, Jonathan B. Nicholas at Jonathan B. Nicholas, and we have a
Yeah.
website for our lenses, BennettFilmsATX.com. But yeah, I think that's the fastest way to find me, Instagram. And I've been busy, but I'm gonna try and post some fun stuff from the behind the scenes for this last season 3 coming out.
Oh, that would be cool.
Mhm.
That would
Yeah.
be really cool. I love behind the scenes stuff. I'm just like, like I've always like, because I like to see, what you went through to make it, and whether the fun stuff, the like interesting stuff.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
not taking photos, but our one of our second assistants, he's pretty good about. I'll tell him like, "Here's my camera. Just shoot whenever you can. Whenever you have some downtime, just shoot, shoot, shoot." And so,
Mm.
yeah, between the ACs and ops, we try to combine all of our photos together at the end of the year with the producers as well, kind of make this shared Apple album. So yeah, I'll be
You
posting.
ever work in New York City at all?
Last time I was there was for this past season 3, um,
Okay.
and
For the
man, it's
Giants,
always so fast though. I did like an Able Cine
oh, Able
panel
City.
in last October, I think. That was pretty fun.
Hmm.
Um, I love to visit New York anytime I can. So, and my
Well,
daughter
if you're
loves New
ever
York.
in town, let me know. You can
I love
come
that.
by our studio. Have you
That'd be
ever
great.
have you ever used a volumetric capture yet?
Not really, just kind of scattered them, but never truly like shot with them yet.
Yeah, you would. We have one. I think there's like 6 scattered around the
Wow.
New York City area, but ours is the one that they used for the Olympics, last Olympics.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a cool tool. We haven't used it in house yet. We've used it for a couple of different music videos recently, and
Hmm.
some production product stuff. But we have some. It's cool. I always tell people I want to get in there and make something at some point. I don't know what. So,
Yeah, that'd be cool.
but you're welcome to if you ever in New York City and will
Yeah,
stop by and check out all our toys. We have lots of toys.
awesome. I love that. It'd be fun.
This was fun, man. I'm glad we finally got to have this
Oh, thank you
conversation.
so much for having me on. It was a big pleasure. So I really appreciate it. I'm glad we got to do this. It was a fun talk. That was easy. I was
Yeah,
relaxed.
it's so. I tell people this is like I've had a few people on who I was their first podcast, and they were like, "This is easy. This was great." I'm like, "Yeah."
Hmm.
I'm like a fan of film, so I ask the questions that people like that I want to be honest, that I want answers to. but more importantly, that people who are listening will be interested in, listening to. So I love talking. I could talk film all day. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
Actually, I want to see. I haven't seen Wrestlers. I want to see Wrestlers.
Oh, please check it out. It's a fun ride because everyone who's actually finished the whole series, like, I think I get complimented on that more than anything else I've ever done. So, yeah.
Well, my roommate is a huge wrestling fan, so
he's gonna love it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to be a wrestling fan to love it. I mean, I've had people come out of left field who said they absolutely love because the characters are just awesome. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining the podcast. Come back anytime when Due West is hitting. If you want to come back and chop it up,
I'll send you a script. I'll send you a screener if you haven't got one yet. So
I might have one. I'm not sure. Let me check. If not, then I'll let you know.
Cool.
But I definitely want to check that out as well. That wraps it up for us on the podcast. I'm Daron Jenkins. Be sure to follow me at Daron Jenkins on Instagram. Make sure to follow Jonathan at Jonathan B. Nicholas on Instagram. And we'll see you on the next episode.